what I want to try to do is take some cuttings from this Coleus. I'm not sure what variety it is, but the foliage looks really nice. It's coming back nicely after this past winter. We didn't get a hard freeze, but it did decline quite a bit, and it's coming back into its prime. And I do want this, kind of scattered around my backyard. I like the two tones, the color, the variegation. It's nice. And that's what the back side of it looks like. I don't want to deface this thing too much, so I'm going to take a few cuttings from the back over here, it's the back side, um, from the way I have it in my garden. That's what I consider the front side. So I'm going to turn this thing around, and I think I'm going to cut this one here. Also, these old kitchen scissors, I wash them really well with soap and water. And I'm going to take this piece right here. It's not too much, but that should propagate nicely. And I'm going to take this one right here. And let's take this piece here. And doing this as well also just encourages new growth. I think I'm going to take this one back here. Okay, so that's about 4 pieces. I kind of wanted to get at least 5. So I think I'm going to take another one here. Okay, so I got those 5. And then you can't really tell what I did from the front of the plant. And this part here gets hidden by the other stuff that I have there in the side garden. So I'm going to go ahead and place this back, and we'll get to propagating these. Okay, so the way I like to propagate these is first I remove the bottom leaves. You don't have to remove all of them, or at least in my experience. I know in other videos that you might watch, they say to remove all the leaves, or almost all the leaves, but I just kind of remove the bottom ones, kind of where you're going to place them in the soil, and also anywhere that you remove a leaf, that's kind of like where the nodes are, where it could potentially start rooting again. So I'm going to just throw these to the side, removing these, and this one looks good. I'll just take these off here. So that one's ready. I'm actually going to remove this one though, and these are off to the side. So I'm going to get my potting soil ready, and I just use regular Miracle-Gro potting soil or potting mix. And I'm going to try to keep my mess contained. Okay, so I'm going to put these here. And some people use rooting hormone, and I do have some. I don't always recommend it, or I don't feel that it's always necessary, but this is the one that I do use. And let me get a little bit of water. Okay, so they do recommend to not touch the stuff with your hands, and if you do, I mean, you want to wash them really well. I mean, I've always just abided by that precaution, so I'll dip these in here. Get just a little bit. I'm gonna make just a little hole here in the center. And go ahead and set that in. Okay, so it might take about a month or so for these things to take root. Um, you for sure want to keep these out of the sun. I'm just going to add a little bit of water, not too much. I mean, people might recommend doing this before, but I like to avoid the mess, so. Also, you want to add, just enough water. Um, you don't want the cuttings to rot, but you don't want to be adding water as well. It's best to just leave these things undisturbed uh, while they're taking root. I kind of just give them a little lift just to make sure, yeah, they have a good amount of water. They'll hold that moisture for a good amount of time because we're going to cover these. And I find that this method works best for me. Um, it has like maybe a 65-70% chance of taking root. And I use painter's tape just because it doesn't leave a residue, and I do like reusing these little pots and these Dixie cups that I get from my local grocery store. And so today is April 9th. I'm going to go ahead and put that date here on each of them in case I decide to take other cuttings. And also I'll have a good idea in the future of when is the right time to do this and how long it takes for them to take root. Okay, so let me show you what I do with these next. So this is my little makeshift greenhouse. And I mean, this is completely unnecessary, but I do have it because I like growing, herbs and, like annuals and little flowers and things like that from seed. So you could just put these on, or, underneath the tree or like on the north side of your house. Like I said, somewhere where it's going to get 100% shade. But these will sit here for at least a month, and I will be checking on them weekly. What I like to do is just kind of, lift them, look underneath, see if there's any roots from the holes underneath. Or, I mean, you can kind of just tell if they're drooping a little too much or they're just completely rotting, of course, then, you know, uh, then they're pretty much done for. But, you can kind of tell after a few weeks if they've started to take root or not. So anyway, I'll try to leave these untouched and just sort of keep up with the progress every few days or so. Okay, so today is April 22nd, and I was gonna wait a full 2 weeks before I started messing with these, but they're looking really good, and I mean you can see that there's roots popping out. They're actually um, turning the same color as the stem, which is pretty cool. But yeah, like looking at these underneath, you can see that there are some roots starting to pop out. So I'm gonna open these up and hopefully get them repotted and remove their little greenhouse. Okay, so let's get to opening these. Okay, so check that out. They look really, really good. The leaves are a little bit bent because of the sides of the plastic cups, but I mean, check that out. Like that looks awesome. After 2 weeks, I mean, all five of them have successfully rooted, and you can get a better look at the roots there. Um, See a little bit coming out from the bottom as well. So that looks really good. So what I'm going to do is, we just removed the cups, so I don't want them to, go into too much shock or go through too much of a transition. So I'm just going to put them on the north side of my house, just in the little pots that they're in right now. And this is a pretty good size as well for later when I do, put them out in the yard. So we'll see how they do. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and plant these up here on the side of my yard. I think they'll look really good. It's needing some red in this area. And, they survived a full 8 hours looking completely unscathed by the full sun. It was maybe about 92 degrees highest. And we'll put these in the ground and I'll give you an update on them.